Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
And taking a look at our two next weather makers, spring-like today, and then the chance of some strong storms on Sunday. I'll walk you through it.
School bus crash. 3 people are hurt after crash on I-40. What we're learning about their conditions this morning. And the state of the state. Governor Josh Stein will give his first major address as North Carolina's leader. What we're expecting him to highlight in his remarks. Good morning. Thanks for joining us in the 8 o'clock hour on Fox 50. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get right back out to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL weather patio, tracking a really nice warm-up. Elizabeth.
Oh, such a pretty day today. Now, how do we get to 80 degrees this time of year? It's all about the wind direction. So our wind coming out of the south-southwest today is really going to pump up our moisture, but it's also going to create high fire danger. So our winds gusting 15 to 20 miles per hour later this afternoon. It increases our brush fire risk. So you want to put off any outdoor burning again today. It's going to feel great. Warm temperatures, little breeze, low humidity, but that does mean high fire danger. Pretty look at Fayetteville this morning, looking gorgeous. I mean, this is the way it looks all across the viewing area. Lots of sunshine. 46 degrees now in the Triangle. A southwest wind at 3 miles per hour. Those mid-40s are as cool as it's been so far. It's also pretty cool up near Roxborough. Has been in the 30s for the last little while, and some other towns, even just in the southeastern portion of Wake County. We do climb to 81 this afternoon, so a big jump in our temperature. And we'll talk about how many more days we'll see in the 80s coming up in just a little bit. Chris?
And Elizabeth, new this morning in the WRAL Traffic Center, we've been reporting on a wreck at West Club Boulevard and Broad Street. That has since cleared. We sent a photographer to the scene, and he reported back that it is a clear scene now. Meanwhile, I-85 at Duke Street in Durham, everything is flowing very smoothly into and out of the Bull City this morning. Another crash that we've been following very closely is the one that has all northbound lanes closed on I-95 north of Dunn. This is right near the Cracker Barrel. An alternate route could be Highway 301 to get around that. It is reportedly set to reopen at 8:30. At one point, it was reported that it would take until 11 o'clock in the morning. So at least we've got another half hour of that closure and then residual slowdown behind that. Speaking of slowdowns, coming in from Knightdale, that's improved. It at one point was an 18-minute slowdown. Now it's a 5-minute slowdown, but coming in from Wake Forest on Capitol Boulevard into the capital city, still about a 14-minute delay. The delay from Durham and Apex, less than 5 minutes. No delays coming in from southern Wake County there in Garner. Meanwhile, I-87 at Edgemont Road, everything seems to be flowing smoothly. As you're heading out on the road, you can tune in anywhere on 101.5 HD3. Anywhere in the Triangle. Ken?
Chris, thanks. Well, new this morning, 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports are now in effect. They come as fears of an economic slowdown are growing. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joining us live from Cary this morning. And Kelsey, we're expecting a report this morning that will give us some insight on how this is hitting people at the grocery store.
Yes, Ken, in the next 30 minutes, we'll have a closer look at how inflation is impacting the prices you pay here at the grocery store. Those new tariffs going into effect today could lead to some price hikes. 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports start today. That means auto prices could go up. Prices could also rise for items like appliances, medical devices, and beverage cans. NC State economist Andrew Greenland says we likely won't see the full impact of tariffs in today's inflation report. They've only created a small increase in prices for now, but bigger increases could come later. Greenland says higher fuel prices may be on the way.
Now Canada has stated that they're going to be putting export taxes. So even if the U.S. is not in a position where we want to continue tariffing Canadian fuel, they're actually using it as a negotiating tool to put a tax on exports to make it even tougher to get out.
Looking ahead to how the Fed could respond to today's inflation report, Greenland says they're in a complicated position because we could be headed towards a recession. He says they likely will not lower interest rates, though. We'll be sure to keep you updated on when that report is released this morning at 8:30. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Well, the U.S. and Canada will renegotiate their free trade treaty. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Ontario Premier Doug Ford will meet tomorrow. The meeting comes after President Trump yesterday said he made double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%. Following the threat, Ontario's premier suspended a 25% surcharge on electricity to exports to 3 U.S. states.
And Ken, a different type of negotiating that I am talking about right now that I'm watching as U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just spoke with some reporters not too long ago. Just to give you some notes, he's discussing the effort to try to bring that ceasefire agreement between Ukraine and Russia. And he says right now, the biggest goal is to make sure that neither side is shooting at each other. No missiles, nothing like that. He says they want to see the conflict stop. But he also says that people will have to be patient and such for this to happen, and admits that these situations are not simple, especially with what's been happening in the war between these countries. Now, he was also asked about the minerals deal that Ukraine said that their leadership said they were willing to sign into place. He says this is something that is beneficial for both of our countries because Ukraine could actually see a benefit economically from this as well as its security. But, of course, the United States would have a vested interest in our economy by having this deal in place as well.
A fallen Raleigh police officer is the inspiration for a bill in the State House committee this morning. Gabriel Torres was an RPD officer who was killed in the Hedingham shooting back in 2022. He was killed in his own driveway on his way to work that day. State law doesn't currently extend death benefits to law enforcement officers on their way to or from work. Torres' wife and daughter were able to win a death benefit claim, but only after a 2-year legal battle. The Gabe Torres Act would make it clear in state law that an officer on their way to or from work is eligible for death benefits if they die in the line of duty. The State House passed a similar bill in 2023, but the Senate did not give it a hearing. Well, 2 townhomes were badly damaged overnight in a fire in Raleigh. A WRAL viewer sent us this video of flames burning the homes at about 10:30 last night on English Oaks Drive. That's near Lynn Road. It took crews about 20 minutes to get the fire under control once they arrived. One firefighter suffered a minor injury during the response. We're working to learn how many people were affected by this fire. The cause is under investigation. Well, just after midnight, the exit ramp from I-40 East onto Rock Quarry Road reopened after a crash involving a school bus had it shut down for almost 7 hours. The crash left 2 vehicles damaged and a third crushed. 3 people were hurt, including the bus driver. We know at least one of those people hurt was released from the hospital. Now, no children were on board that school bus at the time of the crash. Parents who lived nearby who were concerned about their kids came out to see what was happening.
I came out here because first thing I thought about my son. His bus gets off the highway, and then the kids in the neighborhood, they all ride the same bus and it gets off the highway.
Raleigh police are working to learn who is at fault for this crash. Well, tonight, Governor Josh Stein will deliver his first State of the State address. He plans to highlight his efforts to help Western North Carolina recover from Hurricane Helene. Victims of the storm are expected to be in attendance. Stein is also expected to highlight educators from all across the state. He's calling on the Republican-controlled legislature to fund his priorities around education, workforce development, families, and children. The address starts at 7 this evening. House Speaker Destin Hall will give the GOP response. We'll stream both speeches live on WRAL.com. We're working to learn more about a crash in Apex involving a motorcycle. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was on South Salem Street last night as crews worked to pull that motorcycle out of a ditch. An ambulance was dispatched to the scene. There's no word on any injuries or what may have led to this crash. School leaders in Johnston County postponing a decision to change their harassment and bullying policy. The change would remove the terms sexual orientation and gender identity. Advocates who spoke at last night's board meeting say the changes could be dangerous for some children and staff. Parents also shared their concerns about the proposal.
It will create loopholes and consequences for those who do choose to discriminate against, bully, or harass members of the LGBTQIA+ community.
We asked Board Chair Lynn Andrews what prompted the potential change. She said it's something the district needs to look at and make sure what they are doing is correct. The board's policy review committee will discuss the proposal again tomorrow night. Well, today, UNC takes the court in the ACC men's basketball tournament. The 5th seed Tar Heels will play 12th seed Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish advanced with a 1-point win over Pitt yesterday. Tip-off for today's game is scheduled around 2:30. The top seed Duke will play their first game tomorrow. They'll play the winner of today's game between Georgia Tech and Virginia. The winner of the UNC Notre Dame game will play 4th seed Wake Forest tomorrow. Businesses bracing. Retaliatory tariffs have some American companies concerned about foreign sales. A look at one of the industries already facing import taxes in China. And putting the phone down. Many teens struggle with ending screen time before bed. The new feature TikTok is implementing to encourage a full night's sleep. Let's welcome back meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Yeah, try to get outside, put that screen down today. It's going to be gorgeous. We take a live look at downtown Raleigh with plenty of sunshine. I'll show you wind temperatures will climb to 80 degrees.
$8.12. Good morning, Apex. You will definitely be enjoying the peak of good living today with this bright, sunny day we're expecting. As always, we thank you for watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. With the weather in mind, let's get back out to the WRAL weather patio, check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, tracking this warm-up and a dicey weekend ahead.
Yes, we're going to talk about that over the next couple of minutes. It's so pretty out there right now, though. Everywhere you look, our skies are completely clear. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. But let's get in and talk about our next big weather maker, which is the front that'll come through on Sunday and what happens right ahead of it. So we do have a threat for severe storms already for Sunday. Rain is likely to be heavy along with that system, along with that front, and likely to be windy too, even outside of the thunderstorms that are caused by that front. Let's take a look at what is likely to happen for us. This is late on Friday. Look at those wind streams, or those arrows, those white lines. Look at how fast they're moving out of the south. So we really warm up ahead of this. Saturday, ahead of this front, we're likely to be back to around 80 degrees. As it moves eastward, it pulls up the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and pushes it right into our area. And this is where we're going to get those severe storms from. So already the Storm Prediction Center has identified Sunday as a day where we have the risk for severe storms. Now, they don't put out their 1 through 5 rating until we get to 1 to 3 days out. So it's still a few more days before we see where they're going to put us, but it wouldn't be surprising if we're back to maybe a level 2 risk for Sunday. Right now, that severe weather threat for Saturday does include the mountains and the Piedmont, but not our viewing area. And then on Sunday, it's for most of the state, including us. We take a look at what's happening right now. We have a strong flow coming out of the south right now, which is going to keep things warm for us today. It puts a lot of moisture in place eventually, and of course, that's when we're going to end up seeing the potential for some heavy rain, as much as 1 inch to 1.5 inches with that system that comes in. Outdoor plans for the weekend. Saturday, put a yellow light on there, kind of a caution light. There could be a few isolated showers, but Saturday will be nice and warm, so it's possible. Sunday, just put that red light on there. With that severe threat, it's you're just going to want to probably stay inside for most of the day. Maybe early in the morning it'll be okay. On St. Patrick's Day, some showers in the morning, but then breezy and dry through the afternoon. St. Patrick's Day will be cooler in the mid-60s, and the 60s continue into early next week.
Elizabeth, new into the WRAL Traffic Center. Laura Levine was at the wreck on I-95 just north of Dunn. Here's what she's told us. She said there were 2 vehicles involved, that traffic is starting to crawl and lanes are opening again. The lanes are supposed to be completely open within the next 15 minutes or so, so hopefully things will start to improve there. A little more congestion than I usually see on I-40 at Lake Wheeler Road. This is near exit 297. No reported crashes right now, but you will notice maybe a little bit of a slowdown if you're heading into the capital city through I-40 there at Lake Wheeler. Speaking of slowdowns, things have, really improved coming in from Knightdale. Only a 2-minute delay. Coming in from Durham, that's bumped up a little bit to an 8-minute delay on I-40, and then taking Capitol Boulevard from Wake Forest into the capital city, it's now a 12-minute delay. But we're overall smooth sailing coming in from Apex and coming in from Garner this morning. Keep in mind that if you're heading into Durham, the only main delay is on I-40 eastbound coming in from Chapel Hill. Whether it's Raleigh, Durham, or Chapel Hill, you can listen to us anywhere on the Triangle on 101.5 HD3.
Hey, Chris, thanks. Well, police in Hope Mills are working to make an arrest after a drive-by shooting that killed a woman. This all happened around 2 yesterday morning on Jockey Whip Lane in the Steeplechase neighborhood. Police say several shots were fired. 19-year-old Naisha Blue were found dead at the scene. Investigators say a dark SUV was seen driving away. Attorneys for the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students plan to argue a knife sheath with his DNA on it found at the scene may have been planted. Brian Koberger is accused of stabbing the 4 students back in 2022. A pretrial filing shows his attorneys will argue another person may have killed the students and left the knife sheath at the scene to frame Koberger. The DNA on the sheath is a key piece of evidence in the case. Koberger's trial is set to begin in August. He faces the death penalty if convicted. A Butner man is accused of killing his mother inside their home. Officers responded to a home on West B Street just before 1 yesterday morning. They found 69-year-old Wanda Washington dead. They arrested her 38-year-old son, Charles Washington. He's charged with first-degree murder. He's being held at the Granville County Jail without bond. The National Transportation Safety Board wants to ban helicopter flights near Reagan National Airport. Investigators are still trying to find the cause of that deadly mid-air collision back in January. Right now, there's a helicopter flight restriction near that airport. The NTSB says extending the ban would improve safety. 67 people were killed in that crash. A final report determining the probable cause could take months to be released. The Department of Education says it's now investigating 60 colleges and universities over anti-Semitism claims. They include 6 or 8 of Ivy League universities, including Columbia and Harvard. Letters were sent to the schools earlier this week, warning them of possible consequences if they don't take adequate steps to protect Jewish students. The announcement comes during mounting pressure on university administrators to rein in pro-Palestinian demonstrators. Uncertainty over whether tariffs and U.S. trading partners will turn into a trade war has caused tensions in the markets. Ted Lindner spoke to economists and business leaders about how they are bracing for possible economic slowdowns.
Despite setbacks to the stock market this week, President Donald Trump is casting down fears the nation is heading towards a recession.
I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom.
While President Trump maintains his series of recent tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China will boost U.S. manufacturing and the economy, businesses across the country are bracing for possible negative impacts.
So in the first Trump administration in 2018-2019, the president imposed tariffs against many of our trading partners, similar to what's happening today. Their response to that was to impose tariffs of their own.
Some economists say tariffs will force American companies to pay more to import certain goods, causing them to raise what they charge consumers to offset the costs. In California, the world's top almond producer, as petals from flowering trees start falling, fears over possible trade war escalations are rising.
80% roughly of all the almonds in the entire world are grown here in California.
China recently imposed an additional 10% retaliatory tariff on almonds, raising the total to 35%. This after China placed a 25% tariff on almonds during Trump's first time in office.
Exports of almonds from California to China went down over 50%.
India and countries in the European Union are also big importers of U.S. almonds. But with President Trump having threatened tariffs on the EU, the uncertainty over farmers' future financial prospects is hard to swallow.
Like if the tariff is a known thing, business finds a way.
And that was Ted Lindner reporting. Now, get your tax questions answered for free with TaxPros on Call. WRAL's 5 on Your Side and the North Carolina Society of Enrolled Agents are teaming up to help you with your taxes. This coming Tuesday from 4 in the afternoon until 7 p.m., federally licensed tax professionals will be taking your calls, answering your questions for free. Get your questions ready to call on TaxPros on Call this coming Tuesday. A new lawsuit claims Girl Scout cookies contain heavy metals and pesticides. The cookie producers ABC Bakers and Ferrero USA's Little Brownie Bakers were included in that lawsuit. The case cites a 2024 study that says samples of cookies from 3 states included unsafe amounts of aluminum, arsenic, and lead. The Girl Scouts say they found the metals are naturally occurring in soil and not dangerous in trace amounts. Well, TikTok is rolling out a new feature to help users stop scrolling at night. The new wind down feature will be implemented for anyone under 16 years old using the app after 10 p.m. TikTok says a user's feed will transition to calming music designed to help them relax and sleep. TikTok says it will also test adding meditation exercises to that new feature. The State Department of Environmental Quality asking Comores to expand well testing for PFAS contamination in private drinking water well near the Fayetteville Works plant. It includes portions of Cumberland, Sampson, Hoke, and Harnett counties. This will speed up the sampling process for sites that get primary drinking water for private wells, from private wells, rather. It will also provide access to clean water to homeowners around that plant. Well, to learn more about the impact of PFAS pollution in North Carolina, you can watch our documentary, Forever Chemicals, North Carolina's Toxic Tap Water. You'll find it on WRAL.com under the documentary tab. Covering Chatham County, a ribbon cutting happening this morning for the new Chatham Park YMCA. It's located on Parkland Drive in Pittsboro. This is the first YMCA facility in that community. It has indoor and outdoor recreation spaces, 2 outdoor pools, and other areas for community programs. The ribbon cutting is happening around 11 o'clock this morning. The facility will open to the public this coming weekend. If you love downtown Cary Park, it's time to show your support. The Nest Play area was nominated for USA Today's 10 Best Public Playgrounds. You can vote for the new the Nest now through April 7th. If you screenshot the We Appreciate Your Vote page after submitting your online vote, you can visit guest services at the park for a special sticker. School lunches cut. Federal spending cuts now include money used to pay for school lunches. How much Wake and Durham counties benefited from that program. And new surveillance video showing the latest piece of evidence in the search for a missing college student, where the search stands for a spring breaker who never made it home as it enters its 6th day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Good morning. It's 8:26. I'm Ken Smith. Boy, you're going to be able to shed that light coat later on this afternoon. Let's get right out to the WRAL weather patio and check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Oh, yeah, that sun's just coming up over the trees over there. Just beautiful. But it is still chilly right now. It's 40 degrees in Wilson, 46 in Durham, and 41 in Fayetteville. But that sunshine is going to work hard to warm us up pretty quickly. We're going to add about 40 degrees today. We're going to climb all the way to 72 at lunchtime. Perfect lunchtime to spend outside, and also a great afternoon for pickleball. I mean, you might even call that hot at 81. But if you're playing after work, temperatures will be in the 70s, feeling fantastic.
Yeah, Elizabeth's going to feel really nice out there. Some improving news on I-95 northbound. Laura Levine, we sent her out there. She said there were 2 vehicles involved. The traffic is crawling and lanes are reopening, and we're starting to see that on our traffic sensors. I-95 north near Dunn, heading toward areas like Benson, Four Oaks, and other parts of Johnston County. Meanwhile, I-40 at Miami Boulevard, just some of the typical congestion that we see this time of morning. I'll have a fuller look at your traffic report coming up on Fox 50.
2 townhomes badly damaged after fire in Raleigh. This happened at about 10:30 last night on English Oaks Drive near Lynn Road. One firefighter suffered a minor injury during the response. We're working to learn how many people were affected by this fire. Today, the State House Committee will review a bill inspired by fallen police officer Gabriel Torres. He was an RPD officer killed in the Hedingham shooting back in 2022. The law would extend death benefits to law enforcement officers on their way to or from work. Next on Fox 50, the state leader set to address rising domestic violence numbers this morning. And next on Today, one-on-one with Stanley Tucci on his new movie, The Electric State.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
And a beautiful start to the day. Springfield this morning into the afternoon. It's going to be very warm. But then we're also looking ahead to Sunday for some strong storms. Those are our next 2 weather makers that we'll talk about.
Education cuts. The Department of Education's workforce has been nearly cut in half, where public funding stands this morning and how Wake schools are responding. And now honoring a fallen officer. State lawmakers will consider a bill in honor of Gabriel Torres, how his death in 2022 from that mass shooting exposed a gap in law enforcement death benefits. So good of you to stay with us here in the 8:30 half hour on Fox 50. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get right back out to the WRAL weather patio and check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, tracking this beautiful day shaping up.
It's going to be so pretty. It's still on the chilly side this morning. Our temperatures are down into the 40s for most of us. And this afternoon, it'll be breezy. We're going to see the winds picking up around lunchtime. 15 to 20 miles per hour will be our gusts. And that means we have another day of high fire danger. We've seen a lot of that over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We just haven't had a lot of rain lately. And so it's dry out there, and with the wind, it means you should put off outdoor burning at least another day or two until we get some of that rain. That'll happen over the weekend. This is a live look at the WRAL Gardens. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The grass is green. All the pansies are in bloom. So pretty. And you know, it won't be long. Here we are almost to the middle of March. We're going to start to see some of those azaleas popping out probably in the next couple of weeks. It is 46 degrees, so a little on the chilly side. Our southwesterly wind today will warm things up nicely. It's 41 in Fayetteville and Roxborough, 40 in Rocky Mount, and 41 in Southern Pines. Hour by hour, we do climb into the low 70s at lunchtime and our high 81 this afternoon. We also have the chance of some strong thunderstorms on Sunday. We'll take a look at the timeline for that in just a few minutes.
Elizabeth, definitely building on that warmth from yesterday. Here's a look at the latest traffic report. We just heard back from WRAL's Laura Levine. She went to that wreck that we've been reporting on I-95 northbound near Dunn. She said there were 2 vehicles involved at the time about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Traffic was crawling as the lanes were opening back up. I can tell you from the traffic sensors, there was a big swath of purple here. That seems to have improved. So at least some good news on the Harnett and Johnston County line. Here's I-40 Miami Boulevard, the picture coming in. There we go. Just a little bit of normal congestion that you typically see this time of morning. We'll take you elsewhere into other parts of the triangle. This is coming in from Wake Forest into the capital city using US 1. Still about an 11-minute delay. And then we'll isolate heading into Durham, Chapel Hill. That delay now is down by 5 minutes. So at least some good news on that front here as we start to approach the tail end of the morning commute. Isolating the Beltline, you can still see some slowdowns, but things have been improving here over the past hour to hour and a half. Ken?
Chris, thanks. So new this morning, 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports now in effect. They come as fears of an economic slowdown are growing. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey live in Cary this morning. And Kelsey, we're getting some insight this morning in just a few minutes in terms of how this is all hitting us at the grocery store.
Yes, Ken, any minute now, we're expecting to get a closer look at how inflation is impacting the prices you pay here at the grocery store. Those new tariffs that went into effect today could lead to price hikes. 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports start today. That means auto prices could go up. Prices could also rise for items like appliances, medical devices, and beverage cans. NC State economist Andrew Greenland says we likely won't see the full impact of tariffs in today's inflation report. They've only created a small increase in prices for now, but bigger increases could come later.
As they're impacting fruits and vegetables coming out of Mexico, for example, we may see increases in construction costs as steel, aluminum, and lumber, things coming out of Canada that have had tariffs placed on them.
Now looking ahead to how the Fed could respond to today's inflation report, Greenland says they're in a complicated position right now as we could be headed towards a recession. But he says he doesn't expect that they will lower interest rates. So today's report should be coming out any minute, and we'll be sure to update you in the WRAL Live Center. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Well, there are dramatic cuts coming to nearly half the U.S. Department of Education staff. Administration officials say all career employees of the department are being told to stay home today due to what's being called a security event. They've been told to have their government-issued laptops with them, though. So let's break down this by the numbers. The department says in a statement, when President Trump was inaugurated, the workforce was 4,133. After last night's actions, the department's workforce down to 2,183 workers. The statement claims, the Department of Ed will continue to deliver all programs that fall under the agency's purview by law. That includes formula funding, student loans, Pell Grants, and funding for special needs students, But the state's largest school district is sending strong words of caution about all of this. Wake Schools issuing a statement saying efforts to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education and eliminate federal funding would cause significant harm to children, families, and our communities. Even if funding is not eliminated outright, shifting responsibility from one federal agency to another could create bureaucratic delays, uncertainty, and gaps in services. Now, to be clear, as of now, the department is not indicating it will be handing off programs to another agency. While school districts brace for the effects of the Department of Education cuts, they're also dealing with other cuts from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Durham Public Schools tells WRAL the local food for schools grant is not being renewed next year. DPS was awarded a little more than $122,000 to provide fresh, healthy meals for kids and support local farmers. Wake Schools received $50,000 from the program. The local food for schools program is one of 2 USDA programs being cut, totaling more than $1 billion in funding nationwide. Well, a fallen Raleigh police officer is the inspiration for a bill in the State House Committee this morning. Gabriel Torres was an RPD officer who was killed in the Hedingham shooting back in 2022. He was killed in his own driveway on his way to work that day. State law doesn't currently extend death benefits to law enforcement officers on their way to or from work. Torres' wife and daughter were able to win a death benefit claim, but only after a 2-year legal battle. The Gabe Torres Act would make it clear in state law that an officer on their way to or from work is eligible for death benefits if they die in the line of duty. The State House passed a similar bill in 2023, but the Senate did not give it a hearing. Well, today, a Democratic member of the North Carolina House will speak about the increase of sexual assault and domestic violence cases in our state. Representative Monica Johnson-Hostler plans to hold a news conference at 10 this morning. Domestic violence homicides hit a 5-year high in North Carolina in 2024. That's according to the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence. The state lawmakers have delayed a final vote on new funding for Helene relief. The package is worth $500 million, but House and Senate leaders don't agree on how to spend that money. The Senate's version focuses on rebuilding houses, roads, and bridges. The House wants more money for small business grants, local and loans for local governments. Lawmakers haven't said when they will take up that bill again. A stopgap spending bill to avoid a government shutdown is now on its way to the U.S. Senate. It passed the U.S. House on a narrow vote on at the U.S. Capitol, where you're looking live. The vote was mostly along party lines. The bill faces a challenge in the Senate, where 8 Democrats would need to vote for it. The bill does not include any of the concessions Democrats have demanded to protect Congress's spending powers. The deadline for a government shutdown is Friday night. Ukraine is ready to accept a 30-day ceasefire in the war with Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announcing the deal yesterday after hours of negotiations with Ukrainian leaders in Saudi Arabia. The United States will immediately lift a pause on intelligence sharing with Ukraine and resume providing security assistance to Ukraine. The future of U.S. support for Ukraine has been in doubt since an extraordinary on-camera spat between President Trump and President Zelensky in the Oval Office last month. The search for a missing U.S. college student who vanished on a spring break trip is entering its 6th day. Now, new surveillance video shows what appears to be her last known location. Police confirm this video shows Sadisha Kanika just before she disappeared last Thursday. You can see the University of Pittsburgh student walking with friends heading toward the beach around 4:15 in the morning. Investigators say the group returned to the resort in Punta Cana about 40 minutes later, but Kanaki stayed behind with a 24-year-old man. Investigators say he returned to the hotel alone and has changed his story over time. The ACLU is suing the UNC Chapel Hill campus over the way people involved in last spring's pro-Palestinian encampment are being punished. Law enforcement forcibly cleared the encampment from UNC's campus early on the morning of April 26 last year. Police arrested more than 30 people. Most were charged with trespassing. The ACLU, along with the groups Emancipate NC and Muslim advocates, say students who were arrested were suspended from classes and banned from campus. Their lawsuit claims that violates rights to free speech and due process. Riding out a tornado, a Florida woman hid in her work van as a tornado moved by. The emotional moment she shared inside that car. A story of survival, a woman was found 6 days after crashing her car. How she was discovered despite being out of view from the road.
And the consumer price index just dropped moments ago. We'll talk about why it's showing some encouraging signs and how the market's reacting this morning.
80 degrees today. We warm back up. It's quite a warm up for March. You're looking live at Favor this morning. Head meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will give us a better idea of how long this warm up will last.
Your time is 8:44 here in the WRAL Life Center. I've been watching the Consumer Price Index report, just kind of going through it a little bit. And just some of the key takeaways I'll get to in a second. But I just want to show you the U.S. futures, ever since the report came out, still looking in the positive there. But things are obviously shifting there, as you see with the Dow Jones. So let's run through a little bit of some of the points that I saw in here. So in this breakdown, I saw that the inflation rate for February actually was 2.8%, which was actually less than expected. The index for food, that increased, and an increase in index for the meats, poultry, fish, and eggs, that went up, but that was mostly because of the index for eggs. I think that's worth noting. The energy index also increased about 0.2% there. And again, as you look on the right part of your screen, you'll see just how the U.S. futures are reacting right now. But the big measurement of this, how investors are feeling, that'll come at 9:30 during the opening bell. And of course, we'll have that coming up here on WRAL News on Fox 50.
I look forward to that, Chris. But let's head outside and check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL weather patio, tracking this really warm day shaping up.
It feels great out here. Now, I'm happy that I have this jacket on. I have sort of a thin shirt that I was wearing today. So the jacket still feels nice, but it won't be long until everybody's going to want to shed those jackets. Definitely feeling like May. Lots of weather makers coming up that we're tracking this morning. These very warm temperatures today through the end of the week. The lunar eclipse that happens on Friday morning, along with a full moon, and then our severe weather potential, which is likely on Sunday. Already it looks like we could see that. Started tracking that yesterday. This is a live look at the gardens behind me. And you can see all the azaleas back there. They're just getting ready to pop out. About another 2 or 3 weeks, we should start to see some of those gorgeous blooms. 46 degrees right now, so it's a chilly start, but it's a quick warm up, 72 at lunchtime and 81 for the high. So in the morning, the jackets, in the afternoon, the shorts and t-shirts as we climb to 80 degrees. This will be the second day that we've reached 80 degrees this year. The first one was February 4th, way back in the beginning of February. Temperatures are beginning to creep up a little bit. It's 51 now in South Hill, but 41 in Southern Pines and in Fayetteville. It's 46 currently in Durham, 49 in Goldsboro. Checking temperatures here in the Triangle, still some 30s. It's 37 in Chapel Hill, 49 in Apex, 46 degrees in Garner. So it's still cool. But 81 this afternoon in Raleigh, low 80s in Durham and Fayetteville as well, with nothing but sunshine. Breezy this afternoon, gusts about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So that does mean that we do have high fire danger again today. You want to put off any outdoor burning still for the next couple of days. This is an exciting one. It's a total lunar eclipse Friday morning, and skies should be clear. It begins at just after 1 a.m. It's full. It's total by 2:26, and then the partial eclipse ends at 4:47. So it's a very early event, and you may just have to set your alarm, get up in the middle of the night, and go back and take a nap. 2 days this week in the 80s, today and again Saturday. Small chance of showers Saturday, but we do have the chance of some severe storms on Sunday.
Elizabeth, thanks. Well, a Florida woman said she was frightened for her life after she was caught inside her work van during a tornado. She was inside her van as this tornado hit near Orlando Monday. She says she took cover inside her work van as the tornado shook it from side to side. When the twister passed, she said she became emotional.
I started to cry before I got out because what you see in the video doesn't really explain what I felt and what I saw.
Oh, unbelievable. The National Weather Service confirming the tornado was an EF2 with winds of up to 120 miles an hour. A new state bill may make it illegal to fly flags for groups like Black Lives Matter or Thin Blue Line on public buildings. The bill is called the Depoliticize Government Property Act. It would only allow for official flags to be flown on public property. That includes the American flag, the North Carolina state flag, or flags for schools or military. Groups supporting flags like those flown for Pride or Juneteenth would not be allowed. Those found in violation could face disciplinary action up to being fined from their jobs. The bill still needs to win approval at other committees before heading for a vote. An incredible story of survival. A woman was reported missing by her family, was found 6 days later alive after her vehicle crashed in a ditch. Authorities say a worker with a drainage company discovered Bianca Castle in the vehicle while working. She'd been trapped in her car for 6 days and the vehicle was not visible from the road. Castle was still conscious and speaking despite her injuries. Her family says she suffered compound fractures and severe injuries to her legs.
Bree actually had said to her daughter this morning that she was giving up hope. But she had managed to stay alive, like she said, by dipping her hoodie and getting water out of it.
That was Castle's father. She was airlifted to a Chicago area hospital where she's being treated. Authorities have not released any more information about how the vehicle ended up off the road. A police chief in Hawaii being named as a co-conspirator to Sean Diddy Combs in a newly filed lawsuit. Maui Police Chief John Pelletier is accused of being hired security for Combs in 2018. The woman who filed the suit claims Pelletier posed as a sheriff's deputy in California to respond to a rape call involving Combs. She says Pelletier told her to go home and offered no help or medical care. She also claims he later took her and another person to his home at gunpoint and restrained them. In a statement, the Maui Police Department called the claims unfounded. Tiger Woods will miss the upcoming Masters tournament after suffering a ruptured Achilles tendon. Woods posted the update to social media. He said he successfully underwent surgery yesterday morning. The 49-year-old Woods did not say when he will return to the PGA Tour. The Cleveland Clinic says most Achilles ruptures require at least 4 months to heal. When new this morning, NASA launching its newest space telescope. The Sphere X was launched last night on a SpaceX 9 rocket from California. The telescope is designed specifically to survey the sky and stars. It hopes to pinpoint how galaxies formed and evolved over billions of years and how the universe expanded so fast in the first moments. Our Teacher of the Week is known for mixing in a little humor with her lesson plans. I presented this week's award to an educator who isn't allowing her health challenges to keep her out of the classroom.
Who can tell me what is something that happened in this chapter?
Dawn McPherson is the epitome of perseverance.
What did Wendy do in this chapter?
Not even a recent diagnosis of Parkinson's is keeping her away from her third-grade students at Olive Chapel Elementary School in Wake County.
What keeps you coming back?
The kids. I love them. They're good. They're really good. What do you think it could be?
Interestingly enough, when she started college, McPherson and her family were thinking about opening a child development center in Georgia until her first student teaching assignment more than 30 years ago. Then and there, she was hooked.
I said, Mom and Dad, I don't want to do that anymore. Sell the property that you bought, whatever. I have to teach. I like the way you guys are thinking about the flamingos. I don't know if I have a captive audience to do my comedy routine to every day, or it's just kids, they just to me are so good and they're still so innocent. And I just love seeing that spark.
That spark is the connection she experiences every day that keeps her mind off her own health challenges and focused on her students.
They know that I have it, and they know that I go see a brain doctor every so often, and my medicine helps me to walk. So, and they're just as sweet as they can be.
Miss McPherson, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She was so appreciative. If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box. Well, a Los Angeles couple is reunited with their pet cat 2 months after the Palisades fire destroyed their home. The couple feared their Maine Coon named Aggie had died in the fire, but they say they never lost hope. Well, this weekend they got a call from the animal shelter telling them Aggie had been found. The cat is still being treated at the hospital, though, but the couple hopes to bring her home tomorrow even. Well, some students from Wake County will be at this year's National Spelling Bee. The Carolina Panthers will be sponsoring them. The regionals were held this weekend at Bank of America Stadium. 98 students from across North Carolina were there. 6 will go to the finals in Washington, D.C. 3 are from Wake County. They come from schools Carnage Middle School, Park Middle School, as well as Moore Square Magnet School. The finals start May 27th. Well, before we head to break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check of news, weather, and traffic coming up next.